Officers with Portland's Focused Intervention Team have seized 4 firearms after a tip from the public. After receiving a tip through Crime Stoppers of Oregon about a felon in possession of firearms, officers located the suspect who had an active felony warrant at the time. David J. Oliver, age 35 of Portland, was initially non-compliant with responding officers who then arrested him after using de-escalation strategies. Officers found a loaded AR-15 rifle with a scope as well as 2 pistols in Oliver's vehicle. Methamphetamine was also seized. Oliver has since been booked in the Multnomah County Detention Center on a variety of charges.